Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fishing with Big D. Today we're going to be working some more on our Bass Raider 10E. Got this boat not long ago and some quarantine and everything going on. It's been a perfect time to work on these projects. I know today we were talking about doing the battery box in the back that I was wanting to make, but as you can tell, we had a hellacious storm come through. Tornadoes and stuff hit the eastern part of the United States. We got a tremendous amount of flooding and water in such a short little amount of time. So we're going to try something different today. We're going to work on the rod holder. Currently, you can see the boat has two rod holders pre-built and in place, but I like to do a lot of catfishing and carp fishing. And what I'm going to do is take some PVC and I'm going to build a specialty rod holder because I'd like to hold 4 rods at a time. So let me get my project stuff together and I'll show you what we got going on. Stay tuned. Alright guys, let's go over our material list, but before we do that I just wanted to tell you that I'll try my best to show you all the materials, exactly what I used. I'll try to put some information down below. If there's any products that you want to buy, you can use those links. It really helps the channel out. But I'll try to be exact on my measurements for you guys as well, so if you're wanting to copy or mimic me. But I do want to caution you, not every boat is exactly the same. You might have some swelling in your molding or plastic that might make your measurements a little bit different. So I can't stress to you enough to do your own measurements. I'm setting mine up the way I like it. I'm 6 foot tall. Big guy. You might be smaller than me, you might not want the same height adjustments, so if you want to make it personal, I totally think you should do it your own personal way, but you can copy it in the details if you would like. Alright guys, let's go over the parts list that I have here. Alright, so what I did is I went to Lowe's. You can go just about anywhere, hardware store you want to. Most of them carry all the similar products that you'll need, just the basics in plumbing for this. Forgive me if the wind's a little bit high. Like I said, we had some crazy storms coming through. But first of all, I got some Krylon Fusion paint. This is glossy black. I'm going to be spray painting these because my department only had white. They didn't have the black or the tan or the gray color, all of which I would have chosen any of those over the white. Most of you know it's tough to spray paint this stuff just because it doesn't really hold the paint very well, so you'll get chips and cracks and stuff over time. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm not really looking to be perfect. But I do want to get the black coating on there just so it'll look better and match my boat. I'll show you a few tricks on what I like to do to make that paint really stick to this product. Alright, so let me show you what I got first here. Ended up getting 3 pre-cut 5 foot sections of 1.25 inches. I thought 1.5 inches might work pretty well, but it's a little bit of a tight fit, so I went with 1.25 inches. That's what other people who are doing these modifications were recommending, so that's what I stuck to. You won't need all of this, but I got an extra piece just in case I need to make some crazy cuts, and I'll probably have a few pieces of scrap left we can use for another project another day. You're going to need 4 T-sided elbows or joints, T-joints. This will help you make crossbars, which is what I'm going to use it for. I got 2 of these caps so that we can cap it off on the ends, and then I've also got 2 I believe these are 90-degree elbows, and that's just about it guys. You'll need some primer and glue. I just got the medium duty, nothing special. And then for the actual rod holders, I've got them ordered on Amazon. They should be here tomorrow, and I will go over those with you and piece this video together. Hopefully they show up on time. You'll need something to cut this with. Your standard cutters will not work on pipe this thick, so I'm going to end up using a hacksaw. Alright guys, let me show you the first cut that I made. So what I did is I measured from the bottom of the built-in rod holders on the Pelican Bass Raider 10E, and I wanted to come up to the first cross member that I want to put in, just for a little bit of a brace to kind of help with support and weight of the rod holder altogether. And I come up with wanting about 12.5 inches before that first cross member. So all I did is I measured out 12.5 inches on my first 2 pipes, made my mark, and then I ended up cutting them with a hacksaw. As you can tell, the hacksaw doesn't cut really flush and clean. You'll have to clean up the ends on that. But this is the part I'm actually going to use. This part will hide down in the bottom of the cup holder, or not the cup holder, the rod holder in the bottom of the boat. So we'll have a perfectly nice, flush, clean cut to do our first cross member. And basically what we'll do is we'll just glue this piece in on both there, and then we'll run a center pipe across, and that'll give us our first brace, and that'll help support and give us some stabilization. So we're going to go ahead and make some more cuts and measurements, and then we'll come back to the next process. Alright guys, so we made our measurements as you saw in the pictures before. This is the cross member, and I'm just dry fitting everything right now. I haven't glued anything, but we've got our first 2 cuts. Remember, we're trying to use our rough cuts on the bottom just because they're not perfectly even. And you'll get away with this cut too, just because it'll be hiding inside of this section of the tube in here. But that's going to be our first brace and setup. We're only going to use 1 actual brace. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Let me give you an exact measurement in case you're trying to mimic mine exactly. I ended up cutting this about 18.5 inches is what I've got. So if you wanted to mimic this perfectly, 18.5 inches, and it will be our first cross member. Alright guys, there's our first step. Let me get ready for the next step. Alright guys, once again I apologize for the wind if it's interfering with the sound, but we're ready for the next step. We want to go up above our first brace that's going to give us our support, and basically I wanted to go up based off of comfort height for me, and it ended up being 7 inches. So I want to go 7 inches up from that first tee off, and actually it's 7 and a quarter, guys, if you want to be exact, 7 and a quarter. But like I said, this is where, if you want to make it adjust for your comfort, you should choose the height of your liking. I just like it where it comes up to about my waist level when setting on the boat, and that for me will be real comfortable. I won't have to do some major bending, and it won't be up too high where stuff seems like it's in my way and might cause problems. So that's the first cuts. But I'm going to take these 2 tees because this will be our next tee, and I'm going to slip them on. Like I said, I'm going to try to hide these in the uneven cut sides like so, and we'll go put this on the boat. Alright guys, so the next step in my process, I'm going to extend out from the center of the boat to run long ways with the side of the boat. And to do that, I measured out and cut 2 more equal sized pieces, because once again we're mirroring both sides to be the same. And I ended up cutting about right at about 6.5. It's getting a little bit harder to do perfect measurements because the cuts aren't super clean, but like I said, you can hide this with inside your fittings and it would never really be able to tell. But we've got our 2 cuts, and then what we're going to do is run our 2 elbows, and this is going to give us our extension so that we can run out long ways, and that'll get the space and adjustment that we need for our last 2 fishing pole holders. So let's go over here and we'll adjust these and put them on. Alright guys, so the next step, we're going to be running the horizontal length of the boat, and this will be to give me that extra space for the last 2 rod holders. We'll have 2 that are kind of centered to the boat, and then you'll have 2 that are a little bit off to the side so that you can catfish in all 4 directions, or carp fish, whichever one you like to do. But I ended up running 2 pieces, roughly they're 12 inches exact. I say roughly just because, you know, it's tough to get that perfect straight cut with a hacksaw like we wanted, but it'll do. We'll be able to hide this on the inside mounts, and what we'll do is on the opposite end, the end that's exposed, we'll be putting these caps on. That'll give it a clean, professional look, and it'll run this length on the boat. So let me go mock these up over there, and then we will be about finished. I haven't decided on the top layer just yet. I'm thinking about running another cross member so I can hang some lights off of it. Seems like a cool idea, but I'll get back to you on that step and process next. So we've almost got our finished product here. I'm going to have to run back to the store. I forgot 2 elbows. If you want to add this part in, if you don't, you could just cap this here on the bottom. But I'll show you what we're looking at here. So here I'm wanting to run one last cross member here. This is where I'll put my 2 center fishing pole holders or rod holders. And then I can mount a couple of lights right here if I wanted to, maybe power auxiliary or a little solar panel, something like that. I don't want to get too fancy on it because it's, you know, it's just a rod holder. But you can see the elbow joints, we cut them out. We only come out 12 inches because we don't want a lot of weight on this, but once we glue it in place, I'm pretty confident that it'll hold up even to some of the bigger game fish. Alright guys, we're ready for the next step of the process, and that is to glue our pieces together. We've dry fitted everything and it looks good. I like the lengths, I like the turnout. So now we want to make it permanent. So what you'll need to do is take some sandpaper and clean all your rough edges up best as you can. Take your pocket knife and trim off all these little burrs and stuff that you can, and then we're going to glue it together. So let me show you how that process works. I've already got a few in place that are glued. I've done this one here. You want to make sure that you're letting these lay in a flat position. In this case, I'm using my porch and my truck bed just because they're flat. That way you don't get uneven joints and then they dry up with this glue. This glue dries pretty quick. You have to let it cure 24 hours if I'm not mistaken, but normally it's about to the point you can't pull it apart within an hour. So I've got the main base glued right now. I'm letting it dry. I've got some of my little elbow joints glued and I've got it all broke apart right now, but let me show you a quick example of how the gluing works. So if you're not familiar with PVC, you just basically you clean all your edges like I said earlier. You're going to take your primer. I'm just using this particular brand. I think there's actually a red colored one as well, but purple's the most common one that I know of. And you're just going to take this sponge with this liquid and you're going to paint all the way around the outside with it, and then I like to do the joint area real good. But you're going to do that on that joint, and then in this case I'm going to be putting the cap on the end. So you want this to be good and wet, be liberal with it. Then I'm just going to coat the inside there real good. And you want all the connecting surfaces. So this is going to be a contacting surface right here, and you want it good and wet. And then the inside here will be the contacting surface. And I'm going to make that good and wet. And you have to be kind of quick at this because it dries very fast. Next I'm going to be using my cement. Let you see the can there. I'm just using a rain or shine medium duty. Nothing major here. This one's actually blue, but careful, don't get this on nothing that you don't want to be permanently glued. And you're going to run this right over that wet primer so that it works really good. I've got a really good coating on the inside here, and I'm going to reapplicate my sponge here, and I'm going to do the outside here. You want to get really good coating, and you only need to go back about an inch because it will sink inside of the cap here, and this will cover up pretty good. I'll go one more pass on this one here on the outside, and then I will do the inside seat where it's going to rest. Okay, that's all it takes, guys. Then I'm going to take them, I'm going to put them together, and you're going to have to hold some pressure on it. And I like to do just a small rotational twist on it, not all the way around, but just a small amount. And you're going to hold pressure on it, and that glue is going to set pretty quick. But the reason I'm holding pressure is sometimes you get a vacuum inside of the pipe here, and it will cause it to slide up, and you don't want that to happen before it's glued. You want it to be locked in place and all the way back against the seat on the inside. Alright guys, I think it's going to hold in place fine. I'm going to lay it in a nice level resting area, and I'm just going to continue to do this. I'm going to get all my joints and stuff ready to go, and I'll be right back and we'll go with the next process. Alright guys, we're finished up gluing everything in place. Let me show you what it looks like now. So we've got every individual lining completed. They're all good and secure. It's been drying for about an hour. And this is our finished product, guys. These two pipes right here are going to slide into the pre-made rod holders that are on the boat, on the Bass Raider 10E. And it's going to point out like a U shape. That's what I wanted. I wanted to kind of mimic the front end of the boat. I got a lot of possibilities. I ended up running that top bar across so it would look better. I'm glad that I did. So this is my plans when I get my rod holders. Hopefully they show up tomorrow. These have a long threaded rod. What I'll do is I'll drill through here. That rod will stick through a little bit. We'll put some washers and nuts on both sides so it's not going to go anywhere. But I'll have a front pole here and a front pole here. And then off to the side I will have two more additional poles that'll allow me to fish 4 rods off the front of my boat. Perfect for catfishing and carp fishing or big game fishing, whatever you fish for. Really neat idea. I've seen some other stuff like it, but I kind of wanted to put my own touch on it, so this is what I went for. And overall it turned out pretty good. So the next step in our project is going to be painting this. Once again, I'll show you the paint I'll be using. I've got a glossy black look. You want indoor, outdoor, and I got one that's got the primer pre-built in. Anyone that knows, when you go to paint PVC, it doesn't stick very well at all. I've had multiple projects. It starts to peel off and flake, and you get little scrapes in it. So one thing that I've learned and that I've seen people do over time that will help you to get that paint to adhere to the pipe, you could take some really coarse sandpaper. I got a few strips here, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to roughen all the surfaces up with this. Just scrape it up really good. You're going to see all these thin hairs. You're going to want to get those off as best as you can. But I'm just going to go through and I'm going to do this across every surface. I'll go back through and I'll get these little hairy threads off. But I know you guys can't feel it, but it's going to create a lot better surface for this paint to stick to. And that's going to cause it to last a lot longer. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect and last forever, but you know, you're going to have cuts and scrapes and dings and stuff like that that'll chip it back off, and you might have to repaint it over time. This is not going to be a permanent fixture on my boat, so it can pop in and pop out. Perfect for on-the-go travel, and if you're using the boat for something different than catfishing and carp fishing, such as bass fishing like I like to also do, I can pull that out and it won't be in my way. So we got a really cool project here. Once again, I'll clean all this up. We'll start the painting process next, guys. Alright guys, so now we're ready to paint. I've sanded it down very well, scarred it up, roughed it up real good, and then I went back over it with a cloth and kind of got all those fibers and stuff wiped off of it real good so that they don't stick and make little lines in the paint. This will help you get your paint to adhere. I'm going to do this outside. It's a well ventilated area, and I've got it set up down here. I'll show you. Just on a little piece of cardboard, good to go. And I'm going to give it probably 2 coats, but I'm going to try to use up, I have a can and a half of this spray, so I try to use the whole set that I got up and finish it out. One thing that you really need to do is make sure that you're shaking the can very good. Every now and then pause. That little ball in there will help to break up clumps, and it'll make your paint go a lot further. And when you're spraying, make sure you're doing long spraying motions, and you want to be about 2 to 3 inches away. That way it don't pull up on top of the PVC and make little splotches of paint, and it can cause it to run a little bit. You don't want that. I'm not really trying for nothing super fancy. This is just for fishing. It's probably going to get nasty and dirty anyways, but you want to go for a nicer style, those are the tips that I generally hear people say to do. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and start spraying, and then we will come back for the second coat. Alright guys, so I've got my first coat applied on both sides now. I'm taking 30-minute breaks in between and kind of letting it dry. It's getting a little bit chilly now, but the wind's calmed down, so I think it'll still dry decent. Let me show you what we got here. It's actually looking pretty good. I like that black color. Seems like the paint's adhering pretty well. Really neat little trick I'd found on YouTube a long time ago when I was doing a different project. Like I said, I did the first coat, and this is the back side. I'm going to flip it back over, and I got a little over a half a can left, which will allow me to do one more coat, so it'll be 2 solid coats on both sides. Alright guys, so today I got my rod holders in from Amazon.com. I got a 4 set of these. They have a 1.5-inch pipe clamp that works well if you're using metal style piping. This will not fit your PVC, but I kind of figured that might be an option to where it wouldn't work, and we can always take this section off like so, use that for a different project. But this rod holder has enough bar length here on the threaded end to where I could run it through and use this wing nut to make it work. I've got some examples here I've already done. If you want to check that out, all I have done is drilled a hole through my PVC, run this through, and put my wing nut on the bottom. Once you get up to this rubber coating, as long as you make it a real tight fit, this will hold in place like so. If it does any slippage, which I don't think it's going to, I can always come back and put another washer or something here just so I can hold it down. I can bend it to contour the lines of this piping. But so far I haven't needed to do that. It seems like it's going to work out well. Let me show you what it looks like here. Help me a little bit. And there we go. So I'm going to have a rod holder that'll face outward that way. I've got the other one going out this way. And I'll have my 2 straights. This will let me fish 4 rods at one time, and that's really what I wanted to go for. It's how I like to catfish and carp fish. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching this episode. If you like it, be sure to hit that thumbs up. It really helps me with the algorithm on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber, take the time to click that button below. I have a lot of fishing videos, all types of fishing, catfishing, carp fishing, bass fishing, trout fishing, you name it, bluegill fishing, muskie fishing. It's all down in the links below. Be sure to check us out, and we appreciate it. Thanks for watching.